Hey folks, it's another Matt episode. I promise I still have friends. We just hadn't been able to get together. Missed the grand opening of the can because I got interrupted. So, cheers. That's terrible. It's Frio. It's all I can handle right now. So, right up front, folks, please like and subscribe. Audio listeners, which we have a lot more audio listeners than we do YouTube. Thank you very much for listening. Next time you're around YouTube, look up the Van Cable on YouTube. Give me a like and subscribe. I don't know why I care. It's just a hobby. I'm an attention whore, I guess. And speaking of support, two businesses that support us, Eccentric Brewing in Midland and Axaholics Hatchet House in Odessa. Came up with this brilliant marketing plan. If you're the first one to show up at Axaholics Hatchet House with a growler of Eccentric Brewing's finest, I'll give you a Van Cave t-shirt. And I don't have it. It's the green shirt with the weird arrow thing on it. So kind of make the round trip. I know it's a long way, but check them both on Facebook. You can book lessons and your appointment at Axaholics Hatchet House on Facebook. And check Eccentric Brewing on Facebook. They'll tell you their filling hours and their selection and what they have available. Last time I remember you had to have your own growler, the jug, but check just to make sure. So we'll hook you up with a t-shirt. Also, Midland's runoff election, Mary Wayne Baker and David Rogers were both on the podcast. They're in a runoff for district judge. That's coming up. You can check back in our archives. We've got interviews with both of them. So give that a look and be sure to vote. I mean, it's especially now we need it. We're always talking about cool new music. This came in the mail today. It's Webb Wilder's Night Without Love if you're looking for cool music. And there's not an album in it because it's on the turntable. Already listened to half of it. It's fantastic. I got the autographed version. So you can't be in an elevator with me for more than 30 seconds without hearing about Webb Wilder somehow. You can't hear my band without hearing Webb Wilder. We play them all the time. I got a couple of questions I wanted to answer, and we'll get to the big one. And I didn't bring them in here with me. The first one was from, I believe it was Dana. She's a user on through iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whichever one it was. Asked how my health is doing. I'm doing really well. Don't know what I've updated on the podcast or not, but I'm back on the regular chemo treatment. They got all the bugs worked out. I was able to heal up, and it's been tweaked a little bit. I started it over, and I feel okay. It'll eventually give me a rash. My voice is going to come and go again. But other than that, I feel pretty good. The worst part of it, honestly, one of my oncologists said it best. He said, you can beat cancer, but you can't beat the clock. I have more trouble out of old injuries from sports and just general life that are giving me more trouble than the actual disease itself. So thank you for asking. I'm feeling pretty good. I had a number of people, I think, last I counted, it was sitting around 12 or 13 different contacts, email, even phone calls, texts, feedback, asking about the situation with the shootings and the defunding and all police. And honestly, it's unpleasant stuff I don't typically like to talk about on the podcast. I discussed it with the crew. We were kind of like, nah, don't worry about it. We're not going to do that. And I had a discussion with Brandon Batch. He called me up to see how I was doing, and he's going to come in for an episode, and we'll probably cover some of that. I don't have anything to say about it I don't have anything to add that's not been added by someone else. And honestly, I got enough problems and enough negativity. I just kind of back away from it. And that's just how it is. But we're going to cover it with Brandon. Brandon Batch is on too. He ran for Congress, elections I was talking about. And he just published a really, really great letter in the Odessa American about it. So we'll see where all that goes. So the big question, what is that weird little guitar over your shoulder? Well, it's not there now because it's on the table. And that is this one. and I love to tell the story about it. On my personal page, there is a full write-up. This is a custom short-scale travel bass that was made by my friend Scott Green. He and I were in a fencing club together, and he took up making guitars. This was built about 3 miles from here to my specifications. His outfit's called Bonehead Guitars. They're on YouTube. He has a lot of build videos. And it's a funny story because I'm kind of meat and potatoes when it comes to the guitars that I like. Typically, Fender Precision and Music Man. I'm not into a lot of different, crazy Warwicks or anything like that. And so Scott was wanting to build a bass, and he asked me, what would you like? And I didn't have anything I needed. And what would really be cool would be a compact bass I could carry with me when I travel. And we discussed designs, and asking me, what do you want? It's like giving a starving man a menu. I have no idea where to start. So we kind of worked backwards. Definitely short scale. We figured out conventional, tuners on the head, nothing weird like a Steinberger in the bridge. So pretty much again a meat and potatoes axe, and put it all together. If anybody's interested, the pickups are the Seymour Duncan quarter pounders. This thing sounds a lot like a Fender P. It's a little rounder, a little more clarity. It's not as that fuzzy, groovy, thumpy sound. It sounds fantastic, and it still is thumping. It's got some pretty fat strings on it. I forgot what the gauge is, and the 24, 26 frets. It's got the cool little curve at the end of it. Adjustable truss rod, something I've always loved on a bass, especially when you're traveling, you go through different humidities. Neat little touches, handmade access panel to get to the pots, all that sort of thing. It's a work of art, and Scott put a lot of effort into it. But the story, my favorite story about it, why is it shaped like this? I was having a hard time coming up with ideas. I'm not that creative when it comes to shaping a guitar, and I couldn't think, did I want to do something crazy that fits, it's got levers to pop out to sit on your knee when you're sitting, and I just couldn't think. My wife and I were on a trip. We went to Alamogordo, just a vacation trip. We saw George Thorogood for her and Brian Setzer for me at the same concert, and then we kind of did a self-guided Breaking Bad tour all through Albuquerque. And Scott was ready to go, man. He was like, dude, I just need to know what you want to do as far as body shape, because his headstock is his own design. He has his own kind of trademark. Also, his newer guitars feature a bone shape like a dog bone. So he had everything figured out with the body shape. And I'm standing here in the hotel room. We're about to go to the concert. I didn't want to leave my buddy hanging, but I had no ideas. Nicole's getting ready, and I look at the TV, and Back to the Future was on with the scene where Michael J. Fox plugs his guitar into Doc Brown's giant amplifier thing, and I thought that would be perfect. So if you look at the Back to the Future guitar, it's the same shape, and fantastic little guitar. And Scott made, if you see any pictures of Tim Kreitz, my band, where Tim has a green, sort of an emerald green guitar, double cutaway, I believe, sort of a Les Paul looking thing. That's also a Bonehead, and he's doing a lot. He's made, I think, another bass, and we were kicking around ideas for yet another bass. So I love handcrafted stuff. Again, it was made 3 miles from here. He's in Lubbock now. His channel's one of those that I could sit and watch just hours of it, of him just putting all the care and detail into those guitars. Kind of work that I miss doing on things, but I do not have the attention span to do it. My Uncle Frank built a guitar for his son, my cousin Abe, that you guys have seen around the podcast on the live stuff, who's a fantastic musician, and he said he wouldn't touch another guitar for less than $3,000. They're such a pain to make. But anybody that's really into custom guitars, Scott's still at it. Scott Green, Bonehead Guitars. And that's all I got for now. I really appreciate the questions. You guys make me feel like a rock star. Again, we got Brandon Batch coming in and a couple of others. We'll get some dates confirmed. So you got any topic ideas or anything, give me a shout. Love to hear from you. Thanks. Cheers, and we'll see you again soon. It's still terrible.